Emma Walsh stood at the entrance of the elegant restaurant. Her heart pounding in one arm, she held her 18-month-old son, Noah. Dressed in his little vest and button-up shirt at 28, Emma had learned that life required constant improvisation. Tonight was supposed to be different. Her friend Rebecca had set up this blind date with her brother James. A successful entrepreneur, Emma's babysitter, had canceled at the last minute, and she had no backup. She should have rescheduled, but Rebecca had been so insistent, and Emma was tired of putting her life on hold. So here she was, about to crash an elegant dinner date with a toddler. James stood near their reserved table, and Emma's breath caught. He was in his mid-30s, wearing a dark suit that spoke of success and sophistication. This was clearly a man who planned his life carefully, not someone who would appreciate surprised children. Emma approached. "Her cheeks already burning with embarrassment, James?" she said quietly. He turned, and his smile was warm. Then he noticed Noah. Emma saw the surprise flicker across his face. "I'm so sorry," Emma rushed to explain. "My babysitter canceled, and I couldn't reach you in time, and I should have just rescheduled, but I didn't want to stand you up," and she stopped, taking a breath. "I'm sorry. I brought my baby." The words hung in the air. James studied her for a moment, then smiled. "May I?" he asked, holding out his arms toward Noah. Emma blinked in surprise. "You want to hold him?" "If that's okay," James replied cautiously. Emma transferred Noah into James's arms. Noah, who was usually shy with strangers, looked at James with curiosity. James held him naturally, comfortably. "Hello, Noah," he said gently. "I'm James. Your mom and I are going to have dinner, and you're very welcome to join us." He looked at Emma. "Shall we sit?" Emma felt tears prick her eyes. She had been prepared for disappointment. Even anger, not this easy acceptance. They sat down. Noah settled on James's lap. The waiter appeared, and James asked for a high chair. "And perhaps some plain pasta with butter for our young guest," James suggested, looking at Emma for confirmation. "He'd love that," Emma managed over dinner. They talked. Emma explained that she was a graphic designer who worked from home. "It gives me flexibility with Noah," she said. "His father isn't in the picture, so it's just the two of us." "That must be challenging," James observed, gently bouncing Noah, who was starting to get restless. "It has its moments," Emma admitted, "tonight being a prime example." "I think tonight is turning out perfectly," James said. He told her about his work in sustainable technology, about building a company that created eco-friendly building materials. "My sister probably told you I'm a workaholic," he said with a rueful smile. "She might have mentioned it." Emma replied, "She's not wrong," James admitted. "I've spent the past 10 years building my company, and somewhere along the way, I forgot to build a life." Noah reached for James's water glass, and James smoothly moved it out of reach while offering the toddler a piece of bread instead. The gesture was so natural that Emma found herself staring. "You're good with him," she observed. "My sister has 3 kids," James explained. "I've logged a lot of uncle hours." Noah began to fuss, and Emma reached for him. "I should probably take him outside for a bit," she said apologetically. "Let me help," James offered. They walked to the restaurant's terrace, where Noah could toddle around safely. Other diners watched with amused smiles as James and Emma took turns following Noah. "This probably wasn't the romantic evening Rebecca promised you," Emma said. "No," James agreed, then smiled. "It's better." Emma looked at him questioningly. "Most first dates are about presenting your best self," James explained. "Carefully curated conversation, perfect manners, everyone on their best behavior." He gestured to Noah, who was now trying to climb a planter. "But this is real. This is you managing an impossible situation with grace. This is life being messy and you handling it." "I'm mortified," Emma admitted. "Don't be," James said. "I've been on a dozen first dates in the past year, and I've been bored at every single one. Tonight I'm not bored." They returned inside when Noah started yawning. Emma tried to order quickly, knowing her son's bedtime was approaching, but Noah fell asleep in James's arms before their entrees arrived. "He's out," James whispered, looking down at the sleeping toddler. "I should probably get him home," Emma said reluctantly. "May I drive you?" James offered. You can't carry him and all your things on the bus." Emma hesitated. "I insist," James said gently, in his car. A luxury sedan with leather seats. Noah remained asleep in Emma's arms. "I'm sorry this turned into such a disaster," Emma said. "Emma, stop apologizing," James replied. "Tonight was the most genuine date I've had in years." He pulled up to her modest apartment building. "Can I see you again?" he asked. Emma looked at him with surprise. "You want a second date? After all this?" "Especially after all this," James said. "Because now I know that if we ever face an unexpected situation together, you'll handle it with humor and grace, and you'll pick up my baby without being asked," Emma added softly. Over the next few months, they built something unexpected. James integrated himself into Emma's life with Noah. He learned the bedtime routine and which books Noah loved. He showed up with groceries when Emma mentioned she couldn't get to the store. He never tried to replace Noah's absent father, but he became a constant presence. Emma watched James transform from a workaholic CEO into someone who left meetings early to attend Noah's playgroup performances. "You've changed," she observed one evening as they sat on her couch. "Noah asleep between them, you changed me," James replied. "You and Noah reminded me what matters." 6 months after that first chaotic dinner, James invited Emma to an elegant restaurant. The same restaurant where they'd met. Emma arranged for a babysitter, a reliable one this time when she arrived. James was waiting with flowers. They had a perfect, uninterrupted dinner as dessert arrived. James reached across the table and took her hand. "I've been thinking about that first night," he said. "When I crashed your evening with my baby," Emma asked with a smile. "When you showed me what courage looks like," James corrected. "You could have canceled. You could have hidden the hard parts of your life. But instead you showed up honestly." He pulled out a small box. "Emma Walsh, you and Noah have become my family. Will you make it official?" Emma's hands trembled as she opened the box. Inside was a simple, "Beautiful ring, yes," she whispered. They married 6 months later. Noah, now 2.5, was the ring bearer. He took his job very seriously, though he did try to eat one of the rings during the reception. Emma's friend Rebecca approached them. "I have to admit," Rebecca said, "when you told me Emma brought her baby to your first date, I thought it was over before it started." "So did I," Emma laughed. James pulled both Emma and Noah close. "Best first date disaster of my life," he said. Years later, when Noah was old enough to understand, Emma told him the story. About the night the babysitter canceled and everything went wrong. About the man who picked him up without hesitation. "So James became my dad because you brought me on a date?" Noah asked. "James became your dad because he saw what mattered," Emma explained. He could have seen an inconvenience, but instead he saw family. That evening, the framed photo from their first date sat on the mantel. Someone had snapped it on their phone. James holding a sleeping Noah, Emma smiling beside them. It wasn't perfect. Emma's hair was messy. James's tie was crooked from Noah pulling on it, and you could see the chaos of the evening in their eyes. But you could also see something else: joy, connection, the beginning of something real. Sometimes the moments we're most embarrassed by become the ones we treasure. Sometimes bringing your whole messy life to the table is exactly what's needed. And sometimes the right person doesn't just accept your complications. They embrace them, hold them, and make them part of their story too. Emma had apologized for bringing her baby, but James had picked up that child and smiled, and in doing so, he'd picked up a ready-made family, one that became more precious to him than any success he'd built alone. If this story warmed your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment about a time when something you worried would be a deal breaker became the foundation of something beautiful.